What's up, everybody? Brett here, and we are back. Total War Warhammer 2. Alright, and it's going to be a quick battle. It's going to be against one of our subscribers, Triari, versus a Dark Elf opponent. Triari is going to be playing the High Elves. I think that's a race that he likes to main. And I'm going to pause it because, as you can see, things get underway quickly here with some Vanguard deployed Shadow Warriors. A really cool unit from one of the newer DLCs. Check these guys out. They have Vanguard deployment, Stalk. They are master ambushers. They have great range at 180, and they're decent melee combatants as well, as long as they have their martial prowess active. And they're going to absolutely shred these harpies. So, alright, before we get started, Triari sent me this, saying that he had an excellent game with a lot of cavalry use. And you'll see here he's certainly keeping up to that promise. Out on one flank, he's got the Fireborn here, the Regiment of Renowned Dragon Princes. They do fire damage. They have really heavy 20% physical resistance, and just super juice stats, as well as martial mastery. They're out here with two groups of Silverhelms with shields. A great choice against the Dark Elves, going to protect them from a lot of that Dark Shard fire. A small core here of Spearmen, just to have some infantry. It's always nice to have some infantry, plus they're a great anti-large option. The Fireborn being the only mobile anti-large that he has, because standard Dragon Princes, which you'll see here, they're better against infantry. They do not have that actual, and we can kind of slow-mo it a little bit, they do not have that actual anti-large bonus that the Fireborn do. And then some more Silverhelms out on the flanks. He also has Alariel the Radiant, so let's go ahead and check her out for those of you who are not too familiar with her. She's a healer, and she does kind of a weird thing when she's on the Eagle. I don't know if they fixed that. Like her head sometimes is like backwards. Anyway, tons of healing from her. She has the Star of Avalorn. It's a very powerful AoE effect, very small AoE, but it's usually able to keep people fighting, keep them in the game. She has the Shield of Sapphire, so every time she casts, she'll get a map-wide bonus to her army, 11% damage resistance. It's only for 9 seconds, but it's still a pretty nice buff. She also imbues magic damage with the Boon of Isha, and has immune to psychology to her allies around her. Perhaps not super necessary versus the Dark Elves. An Arcane Conduit to keep her casting the Star, as well as the Staff, which gives her a huge Winds of Magic regen, which will allow her to cast tons and tons of Earthbloods this battle. Very good spell for her. The Harpies, thrown out front by the Dark Elf player, no doubt to distract, to take fire. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Some Doomfire Warlocks out here, hidden in the trees. And I gotta tell you right now, and I will tell you, I'm gonna spoil the surprise. The Dark Elf player completely forgets about these guys. So if you're a newer player and you're worried that your micro will fail you in a very micro-intensive battle, as this ends up becoming due to the very overwhelming nature of the High Elf Cavalry, do yourself a favor, play to your own strengths and against your own weaknesses. Don't, deploy a unit out here that you may forget about. You're just doing yourself a disservice. Yes, there's an opportunity here for them to get a lot of value in the back lines of some archers or something like that to make kind of a cool sneak play. But if you know that you're a newer player and you may not have the micro or, be focused enough in that moment to take advantage of that play, they would have been better off just tucked in with the main army as a bit of an anti-skirmisher or some units to be thrown into the front lines. But yeah, he's going to forget about them completely for the entire battle, which I'm sure feels pretty bad. So, Marathi, an excellent lore choice, someone who's kind of, I'm not going to say fallen out of favor. I think she's still a very competitive pick, but you're seeing a lot of Lokir Felhearts. He is kind of the new hotness, and people like to use him. But she has a lot of excellent abilities. She can use things like Pit of Shades, which I think we'll see one of those. Not very good against this army, however. Lots of large targets, Pit of Shades being excellent against infantry. She also has lots of different auras. Let's see if we can stop this for a second and check those out. So let's see. I think she has all of them. Enchanting Beauty. It's a hex around her, 40 meters. -9 melee attack, -8 charge bonus to enemies in range. She also has the Heartrender and the Dark Sword. So -9 melee defense and -9 melee attack. So you see here those obviously synergize very well together. -18 melee attack right off the bat. She also has the Power of Darkness, Soul Stealer, which you'll probably get some very nice uses of. Very good against blobbed up units. She steals their health, she gives it to herself. And in a pinch, she's an excellent anti-large duelist. She does have Deadly Onslaught to give her excellent armor piercing. And She's pretty fast. On Sulafet, that's her Dark Pegasus. It's a unique mount that she has. She's very fast, just not as fast as Alariel, who's going to be doing lots of juking and jiving. She's got 110 speed to Marathi's 105. Also, you see, of course, there's a Black Dragon here and a Manticore. A very nice goon squad when you put them all together with the Harpies. Perhaps thinking that there might be another dragon on the other side of the battlefield, maybe a prince on a star dragon, something like that. This goon squad would be very good at dealing with that. And as we slow-mo it here, I think the Dark Elf player is going to make a bit of a mistake sending all of these 3 units to chase down Alariel. You have to know that you're not going to catch her. She's too fast. And if that's the case, if you just want to keep her moving and threaten her, I would probably just attach this Feral Manticore, who has really big weapon strength at 445. Send just the Feral Manticore, put that on Alariel, let her run away from him for the entire battle, and then that frees up Marathi and the Black Dragon to harass other units, to potentially go in hard on these archers, things like that. Whatever the case may be, you don't need to commit all of these very slow resources to chasing down a very fast target. And for the Dark Elf army, he took up a nice hill position. I have to say, this bespeaks a more experienced player. He has a Reaper Bolt Thrower on the top of the hill, and I think it's in its current, like the anti-large single fire mode. Going to be great against cavalry for sure. And it's protected by a front line of very cheap infantry, Bleak Swords, 2 units there, and intermixed amongst them are Dread Spears. So they're going to be the Dark Elf's option for trying to screen out all of this cavalry, but there's so much of the cavalry that it's going to be very difficult for him to prevent them from getting into the back lines. The Witch Elves here, with their ability to cause rampage, of course we're getting a full-on butt view of them. Okay, that's better. Well, not much better. They're still in bikinis, basically. But they cause rampage, they have physical resistance. They're very good against lightly armored infantry. Would be great in a fight against the spearmen, let's say. But anyway, so if the cavalry gets in amongst them, or Alariel unfortunately dives down and gets caught by them, the High Elf player will lose control of his units, and that could be very dangerous. And then, as always, Dark Shards. These are the unshielded variant. They're not going to be good at skirmishing against the Shadow Warriors, but they will be very good at just dealing lots of armor-piercing damage to anything that comes near them. But they are very close to the front line, and the way the Dark Elf player has staggered his formation, there's lots of gaps, which gives them room to fire, but they already have kind of a nice arch. They don't really need those gaps, like let's say a Dwarven handgun, the Thunderer unit might. You know, they need those type of gaps to get their angles of fire off. But leaving your ranged units this close to the front line is going to really open them up to some devastating charges. The Bleak Swords do not have charge defense against large, so I think Triari is going to correctly recognize that. And let's see what he does. The Dark Elf player is attempting to respond to the fact that he seems like he knows he's going to be overwhelmed here. He's moving his Dread Spears into position. They need to stop moving so that they can brace for any charge that may be coming in. But he's left kind of a gap. Maybe a bit of miss micro here. You see how he has his Dark Shards standing on top of these Bleak Swords. And he's trying to move them, but this kind of style of play can be very overwhelming if your formation is not correct, if your micro is a bit weak. The Dragon Princes here are getting a beautiful charge. They get right in through these Bleak Swords who can't stop them. They put some serious damage on the Dark Shards, and they just charge all the way through. And look at all the units that they're currently engaging. And that frees up all of these Silver Helms here to get a nice wrap and start taking on some of these targets. They're shutting down the Reaper Bolt Thrower, which is a huge pain. And there it goes. I mean, it's pretty much offline now. They still haven't really caught Alariel. And the Dragon Princes are being microed to go up and around. No real spell casting yet. Some of these units could stand to get some healing. The Harpies have rallied. Doomfire Warlocks, completely forgotten about. The Spearmen now can really choose their engagements. They don't just have to run in if they don't want to, because the cavalry is being cycle charged very effectively by Triari, I will say. He's very good at that. Some healing going down. Alariel decided to duck into the fight, and she's popped a lot of her buffs. And she's going to be able to heal up some of these Dragon Princes. Let's see. For some reason, it's catching the Fireborn, but it's not catching these Dragon Princes who actually look like they're inside of the radius. So she dives down with the Black Dragon. Marathi does, and they're going to attempt to goon out Alariel, but I'm not sure that's going to work for them. Silver Helms being pulled out and used to once again cycle charge. The Bleak Swords had no chance. Absolutely no chance in this type of engagement. The Dread Spears, if they were braced, they had a chance. Murderous Mastery, proccing for the Dark Elves. Enough of them have died, apparently, to cause that to be a thing. The Shadow Warriors here firing with impunity. One of the Dark Shards with full ammunition running off the field, the other running into the Spearmen. Meanwhile, the Doomfire Warlocks could have been in here and harassing them because the Harpies are coming back. So he has some micro, he just straight up forgot about the Doomfire Warlocks. If there's any bastion of strength whatsoever, it's kind of this little pocket here that the Dark Elf player has made. He's got the Pharaoh Manticore fighting. Unfortunately, it's fighting against the Fireborn, which are anti-large specialists, and they're super powerful to boot. They've been getting lots of heals, and they've only lost 9 models so far. You'll see here, their melee attack is down to 33, and that's because of Morathi being in close proximity, where she kind of shines in this huge type of melee-style blob. So you've got the heavy hitters mixed in with the Dread Spears. It's going to be good at countering the cavalry, but with the amount of healing that Alariel the Radiant can throw out, it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome that. And the Spearmen haven't even really been committed to the fight yet. The Harpies go back in, but it's too little too late. There's only 38 models. The Shadow Warriors are excellent in melee. They're still above 50% health, so they still have their full strength. This is a Pit of Shades. I wouldn't be surprised if this was overcasted, but overcasting a Pit of Shades gives it a little more armor piercing, but it's not good against large targets. You want to use this against bunched up infantry. So multiple spear units stacked on top of each other, for instance, would have been a good target. And at this point, the Dark Elf player does exactly what I kind of suggested. They detach the Pharaoh Manticore, and they use that to engage Alariel in melee, and that's honestly all they ever needed to do. The Black Dragon's in here fighting, doing its best. He got off a few lackluster Dragon Breaths early on, mostly on moving targets, which is not something you ever want to do. And nice move there. Alariel just straight up jukes the Pharaoh Manticore, who does suffer from the ability to rampage once it starts taking damage. And kind of pulling it into the fight and then leaving the fight is something that Alariel can do, but a Manticore rarely can. And a nice Soul Stealer going down from Morathi is going to be draining the HP of all of these units and healing Morathi quite vigorously. She's going up super quick, but to counter that, as soon as it procced, Triari was on point, cast an Earth Blood, and was able to mitigate a lot of the damage that was done, if not the healing. You see there the Harpies are broken off. Most of the units are broken. Just some Spearmen being used to chase off the Dark Shards, keeping them out of the fight. They could still be devastating if they were sitting back here unchallenged and shooting into this blob. But that's going to be it. Manticore routing off, Doomfire Warlocks taking a nap. Yeah. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm not sure how much in the end, honestly, the Doomfire Warlocks would have mattered. But I could definitely see a scenario where they completely shut down the Shadow Warriors. It's kind of like the units they're made to fight. And, you know, with the Shadow Warriors off the field, maybe the balance bar changes. Maybe all that, you know, crazy damage they were just shooting into everyone. Maybe the Bleak Swords last longer. I mean, there's all sorts of things that could have happened if this unit was properly microed. And if this Reaper Bolt Thrower was perhaps held a bit further in reserve, so that once the initial charge came in from the Dragon Princes, you see how much damage these guys took? They got a lot of kills, but they absolutely damage sponged the front line. They got their models spread out across, you know, 6 or 7 different formations, different entities, and they really tied them down and made a lot of units very vulnerable to the powerful rear charges of these Silverhelm units, which are just absolutely great mid-tier cavalry. And yeah, Triari used them very effectively. Keeping Alariel alive against the Goon Squad was probably also quite key. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a subscriber battle. I'm a small YouTube channel. I love Total Warhammer 2. I play it regularly myself. I've got thousands of hours between Game 1 and Game 2. If you like this video, consider subscribing. I appreciate every single subscription that I get. Like the video, I appreciate that as well. And if you want to send me your battles, your your ladder battles, whether they be 1v1s, 2v2s, whatever the case may be, add me on Steam. My name is Good Talk Gaming, and yeah, just add me on there. Send me a message. Say, hey man, I've got some replays I want to send you, something awesome. Make sure it's kind of current. That way there's no problem with compatibility or something like that. And I'll shoot you my email, and you just send it to me, man, and I will cast it probably the same day that you send it to me. If you'd like me to, if the game is great, I'll throw it up, right away. So hope you enjoy, guys, and thanks again to Triari. Thank you to Leon Zing for a good game, and yeah, guys. So I will see you in the next one. Take care.